Hello and welcome to the Black Cactus podcast, a new video interview series that will see us talk to artists and bands about projects both new and old that have been recorded right here at Black Cactus Studio. Our first guest is Geoff Lawrence and he's talking about his brand new album, Cauliflower Ear. Geoff, Oscar, thank you very much for coming here to Black Cactus Studios today to chat to us, obviously about the process of your new album, Cauliflower Ear. I just want to start at the very, very beginning, back in the 1970s, I believe, when you first started performing, Geoff, and making music. 50 years on, obviously, you're still doing it to this day, which is obviously amazing.
50, isn't it?
Yeah. Was it 1976 or?
1976 was my first gig.
Yeah.
The George Hotel Folk Club.
Was that in Colchester?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. Well, what I wanted to ask, and it might be a difficult question to answer, but how, if at all, did the process of making this album differ from the process you adopted when you recorded your very first album or very first track back in the day, 50 odd years ago?
Crikeys. The way I recorded back then was a tape player and record and play, and sing the song. Have another cassette player next to that to record the next track. Sound on sound, I think they called it, didn't they? When you is it?
Yes,
yeah.
It was sound on sound, yeah.
So that's how it started, and it differed very much to this because we're surrounded by technology, a fine producer. It's very different, and I mean, obviously you can't really compare the two because you pick up so many little things as you go along, little cliches that get you out of a corner in a tight corner in a song, you know. And don't be afraid to embrace the cliche. That's
and speaking of fine producers, then obviously Alan Jones being the guy you worked with on this is your first time recording anything, I believe, here at Black Cactus.
Yeah.
So quite simply, I mean, what was that experience like, and how did that differ from the other studios you worked in over the last 5 decades?
It's warm, cosy, and it's a nice experience to record here. I feel I can make. With AJ, I can make suggestions and not be kind of slapped back or ridiculed, though he did kick me a couple of times, which wasn't nice.
So it's quite...
It's talk about that.
So it's a lot more collaborative, perhaps, in that respect.
Yeah, well, there's so much... I mean, I can't keep up with... Oh, God, I don't want to sound like... My wife said before I left today, my rock and roll wife, she said, what did she say? I forget what she said. Sorry, I've got... You know I have Parkinson's. And
indeed,
just
yes.
every now and again, halfway through a sentence, if I leave that sentence just for a second and then try to return to where I was, that's gone.
Yeah.
That's yesterday's news.
Yeah.
But it doesn't affect too much. I mean, it's been really good fun doing this record. And we've...
At least that doesn't happen in the songs.
No, that's true. But yeah, it felt more collaborative with yourself than with most people I've worked with over the years. It was more of a kind of let's try this, let's give that a go, which is great because you end up with something hopefully different and interesting and entertaining and at a very fair price.
I think you just described it as very much as a yes man, Geoff.
Yes.
I'll say yes to anything.
And so actually, speaking of it being a little bit more collaborative and I guess a bit more experimental and sort of, I guess, being afforded the space and the time and the encouragement, if you like, to try new things, were there any sort of quirky instruments or equipment you used while you were here or different techniques that you sort of explored? And that goes for you as well, Oscar, if you don't mind chipping in to answer that question as well, either of you.
Do you want to go first? Or do you want...
No, you go
first.
first.
I'll go first.
Because
well, there were certain things like putting the vocals through the guitar amp and then re-recording the vocals through the guitar amp, which make like a cheap, nasty sound, kind of, but cool. But most of the stuff I feel like was fairly like standard guitar, bass, drums. Some stuff through tape machines as well, which was cool, more like lo-fi, I suppose. But yeah, it was a great experience to be here. It's
Yeah.
I enjoyed the tape echo session we done. That was
Yes.
fun, wasn't it? When we were live twisting the tape echoes and making that Pink Floyd-esque sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know about that really. But we had that one crazy day, didn't we, when we had Brighton band Flip Top Head were they're friends of ours, and they were here recording their parts, and I didn't really I missed a whole day's recording, and then the following day when we got to listen to it, I think after you'd had your eye up.
There's some stories about that as well. Yeah?
There are, yeah. We had Giles Smith. You know Giles from Lost in Music.
No,
you never read Lost in Music.
No.
Oh, I must send you something.
Yeah.
For that.
Yeah. Please.
Stamped addressed envelope.
Yeah.
That's where I'm from. Giles Smith. He was. He was with me in the Orphans of Babylon years ago. A sort of ridiculous comedy duo we were in. And I got him back down from London to put some piano on this, and that was on the day that AJ had his eye op, and it was there was so much going on that day. It was incredible to me that the next day we listened back, didn't we? And it was all sounding really good.
Yeah.
Because you were talking to Giles, going, "Yeah, another take."
Yeah, well, he came out for dinner with us that evening, actually, shortly after he'd had his eye op, and he was clearly in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And it was very watery. But he got through it before eventually going home. But
did you manage to eat through with this watery, sort of drippy, scuzzy eye?
I try not to look. I just try not to look. Somehow he managed to do it, but yeah.
So for the eager listeners, they don't. When you have an eye transplant, they put you on the list. They very randomly send you a date, and you can't say no. I wasn't just attention seeking from my operation. But I had a lot of plans I had to commit to, so that's why. And I couldn't let Geoff and Giles down the day after the eye operation, so I come in literally dripping on the desk.
No, George, I'll just get this on so I remember to do it.
Yeah.
It's the best book about being in a band that I've ever read, and it happens to be by a guy from Colchester who I was in a band with. And it's Lost in Music. It's fantastic. It must be read by all Colchester musicians. Yeah, it's terrific.
Yeah. Don't know if I class myself as a Colchester musician anymore, but anyway.
Can we
that's
do this?
besides the point.
Link in
I
the
didn't
bio.
Well, yeah.
I wasn't sure you were there back then, really.
That's a good point. Yeah, it's a very good point.
No, you gave one of the best performances. It's all going to be about you now, George.
Don't go down this route.
One of the best performances you gave as a band, I thought, was in the Albion that day.
Oh, that was a great gig,
That was
right?
so
Yeah,
good. I've got
I
a
enjoyed
photograph
that.
of you through the window.
Yeah, there were some nice pictures from that.
Yeah.
Really nice pictures. No, that was brilliant. All them Albion gigs have always been brilliant because it's always rammed, isn't there?
It's great, but let's stop now because it's all about me.
Yeah,
okay?
exactly. Yeah, of course. No, agreed. So back to the album, and correct me if I've got the name of this wrong. Solid Form.
Yes,
Is that right?
that is right.
That is
yeah.
right. I
It's been called
understand
several
that.
things.
I understand that came to life out of a dodgy sample that you discovered. Can you just tell us a bit more about that?
Yes, I was just searching around for something. I wanted to write a couple more songs for the album. I had sort of 10 ready-ish. And I was aiming for 12. We ended up with 10, actually, didn't we, in the end? And I was just digging around for ideas, and then there was 3 samples. And I just went through, and you sit there and you go through the list, and they never really sort of stand out. And then this choral thing happened, and I thought, that sounds very sort of spiritual, something, It sounded like it came from... How can I describe it? A bit like a sort of Tennessee Williams play.
Heaven. It sounds like it's from heaven.
It does sound like it's from heaven, yes. We'll go with that. Oh, baby. Heaven is a place on earth.
He's relaxing into it now.
Yeah, well, he's gone up there, so I can go back here because now Rhino Tune doesn't...
Doesn't show.
You can Photoshop this out, can't you? Photoshop. Oh, dear.
Okay.
That was just a sample I found. It didn't loop properly, and I gave it to my good friend Stuart Hill, Slugworth's bass player, and because he mucks around on the computer, and he tried to make it loop properly, and it wouldn't. There was something weird, and then we brought it in here, and eventually, that was something.
It was weird. It had like 2 time signatures.
It was odd, wasn't
in
it?
the same 8-second sample.
And you can hear it every now and again because one is slightly behind. which I blame you for, and we've got to talk about the final payment.
Down payment.
Yeah, so grabbed that and then just kept running it at home when I was doing stuff. Washing up is always a great place to, I don't know when you've written a song, standing washing up, no radio on, and just see what comes into your head.
Yeah.
It sounds like most drum and bass players are drum and bass acts, because there's a little bit of drum and bass at the end of that track. That's why I'm thinking ahead now. They must write their stuff standing in front of the sink or on the toilet, I always think, because there was all those big rushes of snares, and I don't know what the hell I'm talking about now, George. I really don't. Just
I'll get you out of it by
I've got
moving
an
on to the
idea.
next question.
I've got nothing to say about that track.
You sure?
Oh, that's
You sure?
Yeah, well,
I've got nothing to say.
not in a
about that
horrible
track.
way, but it's a pretty like nice, concise. Was it 3 minutes or something?
It feels like it's a really long track because so much kind of goes on in it. There's a wonderful bit where I think you did it, AJ, dropped everything out apart from the girls' voices. The girls, they'd love that. The women's voices. Doing the. You just left that bit empty, didn't you? Underneath them, it sounds fantastic. It's my favourite track off of it.
Really?
Yeah, after everything else, yeah, that just seems to. It's the new direction.
There we go.
I'm going to play Bubba's soon in town. What's your brother's name?
Edit that out.
Did Luca tell you I played it to him he came round on Saturday night?
Yes, I heard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so I thought if I can play it to him, and he doesn't laugh, I'll take it that I've managed to achieve a little bit of drum and bass.
I said it was just a strong first attempt at drum and bass. It was quite a.
Yeah, there was every idea I've got, and it also sounds like Geoff. Well, you get that in your head.
Oh, the think break.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are they saying think then?
Well, it's a James Brown sample,
Ah.
and he like goes ah, and then obviously when you speed it up, it
Yeah.
also increases the pitch. So like ah.
But it does sound like Geoff. If you get it in your head. I'm going to tell people that we did it deliberately and it took
All right.
AJ hours.
What did inspire the drum and bass, the shift to doing a bit of drum and bass?
It's a really weird way to get to this. We were on holiday somewhere, myself, my wife and a few other people, and we got sent a video from another friend, our friend Vicky Helliwell. And there was just, on there I heard her say, "Oh, sit on your bum, Eleanor." And I thought that'd be such a good thing to use as a kind of, I don't know, a sample. Is that what you call them?
Yeah.
And and that's where it came from. And that's why I did it. I just heard this kind of, "Sit on your bum, Eleanor." I could hear it kind of rattling around there. And that was not originally in the plan for the song. It just happened, really, didn't it? Yeah, we're going to get loads of people remixing it.
Hopefully.
That'd be nice.
That's where the money comes from. Burma Star, can you just talk to me about that? Because I hear that's got quite an interesting backstory to it as well.
Yes, it's the risk of, being sort of sad and miserable. My dad passed away in 2010, and huge sort of life-changing things like the passing of a parent and stuff. If you've been writing songs for a long time, obviously that's right in there, and that has to come out, and you have to make a song out of it to make yourself feel better. And it took me about a year. I just couldn't be silly. It had to just be what my dad did and where he was. And that's how that came about. It's been around a little while, but the interesting thing about this version was having Giles on piano, where I used to play it on guitar.
Right.
Play the song on guitar. He's on piano, and it sort of turns it into a what's his name? Toy Story. Hey, you got a friend? And Randy Crawford. Not Randy Crawford. Randy Crawford's a. What's his name? My God, one of the biggest songwriters of the last. You got a friend in me. He wrote that.
him. Yeah. I know him.
What's his name?
Embarrassingly, I know the song, but I don't know who
Yeah.
wrote it or
It's-
performed it, which is probably bad.
That's crazy. It'll come to... I keep wanting to say Randy. Randy Newman. It was
Yeah.
Randy Newman.
Yeah.
Definitely keep that bit in, because that was really interesting. I was going, yeah, so that song had been around a while. It made some of my relatives cry, which was a good thing. Obviously, it had worked, and I didn't expect them to all take their own lives, but you know that's what happens.
Yes.
Yeah, so I wrote the song about my dad's experiences. He really did lie about his age to go and fight in the war. He did end up in Singapore and that area. There was bayonet stab wound scars on his back, so I got that in the song as well, which was always kind of, you watch your dad go past and you just think, and it's really exciting when you're a little boy. You think, God, that was a stab wound in my dad's back.
Yeah.
Then you get a bit older and you realise that's not as much fun as it sounds.
No.
So yeah, but that's what that was all about. And I got it out of my system. Since then, my mother has passed away, and I'm still trying to write a song about her. They're always quite tough
Yeah.
tunes to write, and having had a reputation over the years of being a kind of sweaty mess frontman, silly figure, it's quite difficult to kind of brush that all aside and just concentrate on this one serious thing that I have to get out and put up on the shelf.
Yeah. Is there a part, when you're trying to go through that process of writing a song like that, is there a part of you, do you think, perhaps subconsciously, that tries to make you go back to being what you just said, that sweaty mess on stage, and sort of to avoid tackling a subject like that, if you like?
I'm not sure. Sorry, I've gone a little bit blank there for a
No,
second.
that's fine. That's fine.
Add the blank bits up.
Yeah.
I'm not paying for them. What was the question?
I can't remember. Don't worry, we'll cut that bit out.
Yeah, but that's the only. I think it's the only song about death on the album.
Oh no, the the North Sea song.
Chilly North
It's about
Sea
death,
is
isn't it?
about well, it's about suicide, which I've certainly not written about before, but it was from the point of view of somebody who'd had such a bad time, rather than it being about myself. But sometimes when I listen to it, I thought, it sounds like I'm singing this personally, about how I was feeling, but that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting to kind of just. Sometimes it's interesting when writing a song when you just run out of words and just to make up a totally unbelievable thing. Yeah. Oscar.
Well, I have nothing to say about those songs either.
I'll tell these
We'll
good people about my wife.
We'll get on to Oscar in a minute, actually, because
Like
I've got a few questions that you can both answer in a moment, and we'll get to that. But I just want to touch on the Parkinson's diagnosis, which you obviously spoke about briefly earlier. So I think has it been 6 years now, roughly? Was it 2019 you were diagnosed?
I think it was, yeah. Yeah, it was about 6 years ago. It's funny that I can't actually remember when the exact date. I could tell you when I started to think, why can't I play the guitar anymore?
Well, that's what I was going to ask. I mean, to what extent has it impacted your ability to be creative, or in some ways has it sort of opened up different avenues into
very much
music?
that, yeah, very much. I still want to get songs out there, and I'll go on eBay and find some funny little instrument, a little xylophone, and a £10 keyboard, which I used to work out the string things. Yeah, again, I've gone. Yes, Parkinson's. that reminded me. Yes, it's really it has changed things in that I love playing live, and I'm not able to do that. We tried with Slugworth to carry on with Oscar on guitar, and it ended up with Oscar kind of carrying the whole thing, which wasn't the plan, really. That wasn't really fair, but you did it darn well.
Thank you very much.
What were we on?
how your creativity is
Oh, yeah.
I
affected.
think it'd be good to talk about how it got all the other musicians involved in the project.
Yeah.
Yes,
That was going to be my next question. But we can move on to that now if you want. I mean,
There's a great Bob Wilson, the Arsenal goalkeeper from years ago. Do you know of Bob Wilson? Oh, right. I was photographing him doing a prize giving. Why was this linking together? Hang on, give me a second.
it's fine. No rush.
Oh, that's it. And he was telling me about the first ever sports report that he did. He was driving back from the ground where he'd been commentating to deliver his sports report on that match. On the way back, he was in his head. He was going, and Trevor Brooking scored a hat trick. Third great header, the third goal. I've got it already. So Trevor Brooking scored a hat trick, and the third goal was fantastic. Right, I've got my thing. He got back to the studio, and Frank Boff said, "Bob Wilson now reporting from Highbury, where I understand Trevor Brooking played really well today and scored a hat trick." And so he'd prepared his speech ready to give out about this match. And then in the introduction, it was completely scuppered and ruined, everything he'd come up with. Again, I don't know why I went down that path.
I was about to ask the same question. There must be a reason.
That I don't know. I'm an Arsenal fan, maybe.
Do you think you're trying to say that you've got all these ideas in your head, and when you go to bring them to Oscar and that to lay down, but then he sort of preempted you, and he's already got a similar idea, or maybe not?
Oscar's got that thing that I've never been able to do, which he'll listen to a song and then can play it, it seems to me, which is...
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, well...
Cheers.
Yeah, you know, you were handpicked from a... There was a hell of a queue, wasn't there, when we were picking guitarists? Almost a little Bromley. Can we call this that? Almost a little Bromley.
Yeah, why not? But on that note then, how does it make you feel seeing other people play your music? I mean...
If it's the right people,
yeah,
fantastic.
and if it's not?
If it's not, yeah, it's a bit of a kind of waste of time. But it's... Oscar and Luca were both in Anorak Patch.
Yeah.
And a band that were terrific. I loved them to bits, and they were kind of going places. But the drummer was too young, and the older brother was too old. I don't know. It just didn't happen. But I saw how good Oscar and Luca were at any style they seemed to be able to play, and so got those involved, and they're more than happy to help out. And Flip Top Head, excuse me, a band from Brighton we're friendly with. They came all the way up from Brighton and laid some stuff down for us, and that was fantastic. And Giles Smith, who is getting lots of mentions, he also turned up and delivered some fab piano. I love that. In
Resistance
is low, yeah.
And I don't know what he looks like, but...
Oh no.
Why? I've never seen him. Oh yeah. Well, you had the other eye.
No, because that's gone as well.
So how does it work then? So do you come in with, say, the real rough idea, vocals and guitar part or piano part, and then these musicians build around it, or do you sort of have rough ideas for every part?
That's how I've done it in the past. This was slightly different in that Oscar knew some of the songs anyway, because he'd been playing in Slugworth, and we tried out a few things, and apparently Effie told me, my daughter, that Flip Top Head learned the songs on the way down in the van, or on the way up from Brighton in the van, but they then walked through the door, didn't they, and just got on with it.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe how the project was moving on. And I was just walking around with a cup of coffee, just thinking, yeah, that sounds good. I like that idea.
Yeah.
And what the hell's the sound engineer doing? You know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I feel a lot
Always
of the prep stuff we done, especially with all the scratch stuff, a lot of it ended up staying, didn't it?
Yeah.
It was so good first time round.
Yeah. That was because I kept thinking, right, we're going to have to go back and redo these vocals at some point, and then they sound all right, don't they?
Yeah, they did.
No, they sound better than all right.
Yeah, they sound really good.
Something here.
And Oscar, how's that process for you? I mean, obviously, like Geoff just said, you were in your own band, you were in Anorak Patch, and I guess in being in your own band, you've got a bit more control over what you do and what you create. Do you feel like you still have that working with Geoff, in that sort of license to be a bit creative yourself within his songs?
Well, Geoff is very trusting of all of his musicians he had, and they would turn up. He'd just say, "Play something like this," and of course everyone has their own take on like this. So in that way, it was quite nice that you're not just a session musician in that sense. You're yourself in the style of whatever Geoff wanted. But yeah, I felt totally fine when Geoff said, "I'll play like this," or "I think the song should be like this."
Yeah.
Because it's interesting to work in different fields and types of music.
I mean, that's the nice thing about these 10 songs. They're all quite different, really, I think, and that's down to the musicians who came down and played on it. Yeah, I mean, the vocal, my daughter Effie, the singer from Anorak Patch, and Bowie Bartlett, the singer from Flip Top Head, that was something I wanted to try out, put them together and see how their voices mixed, and it just went bang, didn't it, when they sang? I mean, the Solid Form, I mean, the things they're singing on that was, I don't remember there being more than one take of that. It was almost like they did one set of vocals, went and did a second, that song's done then.
I think it was all sort of improv, right? Or, well, improv-y.
Yeah, I mean, I had the melody over that loop, but I didn't have anything else, and just let them sing it. I didn't credit them, though. You know, I planted the seed of that song.
Yeah. Just a couple more questions, Geoff. So on that note, actually, does it, obviously, because of your diagnosis, you can't perhaps play as much as you used to be able to. Do you think you've got more license now to be even more creative than ever, because you can write parts for people who perhaps can do things that you can't, and have abilities that maybe
it's not
you don't
really
have?
writing parts for people, just giving people a nudge in a direction that I think the song should be going into, and they take up the mantle, is that the word?
Yeah.
And they run with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And
They take the baton and go.
They take the baton and yeah. Nobody really dropped the baton on this particular recording. It was all their ideas seem to have been incorporated in the recording somewhere. All those lovely folks. It was and writing at home, I still played the guitar a bit, though it's very frustrating. I tend to write more on bass, and then even more recently on this cheap little keyboard. That's all you need, isn't it?
Yeah.
Standing at the sink, washing up, hum a tune in your head, put everything down, get my little keyboard, write some lyrics, which is always the pain in the arse, and then present them to AJ. Yeah, and onward and upward.
Yeah.
To
Well, just one final question, and I'm intrigued to actually get your differing views on this. For people who don't know the types of works you've produced before, and well, even for people who do know, how would you describe this album briefly? How would you summarise it?
That's quite difficult. How would I sum? I mean, I'm pleased. I'm really pleased with it. I'm really pleased with how it's come out. The songs sort of took on a life once we were in here recording them. Really, the lyrics and everything seemed to slot together, and I sit back and listen to the 10 songs, and I'm pleased with what I hear. And stream it, download it, sell it. No, buy it.
And then sell it.
Yeah, unless you want to help sell it.
Yeah.
Say it to the camera. Tell people to stream.
Tell people to stream. God.
Stream!
Well, Geoff, Oscar, thank you very much for joining me on the sofa here at Black Cactus Studios for what was the first ever Black Cactus podcast. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.